going to be, really, when it comes down to it.
I think a year or two from now, you could be looking at it as one of the better contracts in the NHL, because contracts are only going to continue to ascend, and they're going to get bigger and more grandiose. And you're going to look back and be like, man, Nyes at sub 8 might be one of the better deals in the National Hockey League. He has that type of ability. He's shown that. Again, just go back and look at that, how he performed in the playoffs up until getting injured midway through that Florida series. Like, he was the best player for the Maple Leafs in this series, the best forward at the very least for the Maple Leafs throughout the entire playoff. And that's at 22 years old, right? And all of a sudden, another full off season to get stronger, to get bigger, to get leaner, he said, get a little bit quicker, more agile, but also keep that bulk and allow him to play that heavy game. He's only going to get better. And that's what I think is exciting about the upcoming year for Matthew Nyes. Just so much more opportunity for him. And when opportunities have come knocking, Nyes has knocked them out of the park. So 29 goals, 58 points a season ago. His over-under on FanDuel is only 60 points. Yeah, you can get 60-plus points for Matthew Nyes to score 60-plus points on FanDuel at minus 125. That's a smash hammer bet for me. Absolutely, that's something that I'm taking the over on.
Absolutely. Like, if he doesn't get 60-plus points there, he must have been through some terrible slump or gotten injured. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Don't even need to. I'm sorry I even did that.
Why
but
you put that into the ether, Dave? What the hell's wrong with you, man?
Yeah, for me, it's just I don't. Again, 60 points. That's a pretty. Again, it's expecting him to take a move up in terms of what he's been able to do in the past.
Well,
but his role gets more increased too.
Let me give you some numbers here, okay? And why I think 60 is easily attainable. I think he's going to have 75 plus points this year. So 60, blowing past that. If you can get him, bet up the number a little bit and try and get 70 plus, I think that's where you'll find even better value. Because last year, and keep in mind, he wasn't a top 6 player the entire season. Really only the latter third is when he really got onto that top line with Matthews and Marner. But last year, he ended up with 51 points at even strength by himself. That's without power play time. Now, that obviously he gets put on the power play a little later on into the season and then never came off of it. But 24 of his 29 goals were scored at even strength. So now you add in those power play opportunities, right? All of a sudden you go from 51 points to probably going to end up with 20, 25 points maybe on the power play. That puts you from 51. You get an extra 20 points on the power play. You're at 71 points. That blows past 60. And that's exactly where I think that Matthew Nyes can get to. And again, that's 51 points at even strength, playing up and down the lineup, not starting on the top line next to Austin Matthews. So, yeah, I think that he's going to blow past that number. I think he probably somewhere between 70 and 80 points. My prediction is a 35 goal, 36 assists, maybe. Let's go 71 points for Matthew Nyes this upcoming season. There's my Nyes prediction for the upcoming year. What about you?
I mean, 75 is a nice number. If he gets anywhere into that 70 range, I'm going to be very happy, because I do think that this is a player that, again, the opportunity is right there in front of him. Like, he's going to be such a pivotal player for this team for now in the near future, that it should provide a lot of excitement for Leafs fans that you do have a player like this, because we hear so many times the Leafs don't really have a lot of good young talent, or they haven't really developed a lot of prospects and stuff like that. But you can always say that a lot of teams would love to have a Matthew Nyes.
Mm-hmm. The Maple Leafs would love to have more Matthew Nyes. That's why they went out and got Dakota Joshua, so that they have someone down the lineup who can do a lot of similar things, right? Heavier, plays the body, has a little bit of a scoring touch, can kill penalties, can forecheck really well, sneaky, good stick defensively. So They want to. The Maple Leafs want to play like Matthew Nyes. Like if they can take one player on their team and emulate that style, it is Matthew Nyes. Like he is perfect. He's perfect in Craig Berube's system and what they want to be, right? So it only makes sense that that they give him kind of the keys to the kingdom in a way. Obviously, not fully. Matthews is always going to be the king, but I mean, I don't know. You're looking at a guy who just plays different, right? He's a different cat, and he's just different for this team, and he's going to provide an element that they really have not had. Like, sure, they've had some guys who can play physical a little bit here and there, but they haven't had a dominant player who's physical on the score sheet and on the ice, and that's what this guy can be.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? They really haven't had this type of player. It's hard to find this type of player unless you go and draft and develop it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, people should be pretty happy that the Leafs have been able to draft and develop this player, because you can draft them, but yes, you do also have to see them go on a proper development path, and I think we've seen that from them.
All right, we'll come back and we'll put a bow on the Nyes conversation and get into some other comments that were made at the NHL media tour that's making the rounds. That's next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. The Locked On Leafs podcast continues. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morisuti with you, as we are each and every Monday through Friday, free and available. The Locked On Leafs podcast. Find it wherever you get your podcasts and also on YouTube. Dave, you want to put a bow on the Matthew Nyes conversation? Any final comments you'd like to make?
I know he was asked about Mitch Marner, which it's almost like every single Leafs player has to take a Marner question. Every single one. Even if a player didn't even play with Mitch Marner in Toronto. Dakota Joshua was going to get asked about Mitch Marner. It's the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
The one thing I saw one of the comments talking about him being, the guy in the locker room that took charge of the music. And I'm like, is that really necessary to bring up? Like, are you really going to miss somebody because they played music in your locker room?
Who, Marner?
Yeah. I've heard, he's like the third player I've heard talk about. I was like, does this guy have the best music taste in the world that it's just going to be so hard to not have somebody else play music in that locker room?
Dave, I don't know about you, but how many times did we talk about the Maple Leafs and their slow starts? Maybe they need some better pregame music to get them pumped up, okay? Maybe they'll be much better off with someone else playing DJ in the Maple Leafs locker room before games, and they can get hyped up and get out there and get